Hello and welcome to the next session in what Bayaka is presenting with the Health and Wellness series. I am Denise Damijo, and we have a very wonderful, amazing guest today, Asia Randall. And before we get started and jump into what she has for us, because she has some goods, I want us to go on ahead and do a short, just a little bit of grounding for us to come back to self, for us to be present in this moment and really get tuned in to what Asia is getting ready to inform us of. So if you could just close your eyes, take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Might want to rotate your shoulders, spread out your arms, lift them up over your head. Feel how it feels as you are stretching. Allow your neck to move from side to side, stretching it. Might want to wiggle your fingers. See how your fingers feel. Pay attention to every part of your body. Listening to it, hearing it, and allowing it to be present in this moment. Calm and relaxed and here. Take another deep breath in. And out. One more deep breath in. And out. Welcome. Okay, so now that we are here and we are present in this space and in this moment, I would like to introduce, and I have the honors to introduce our very special guest, Asia Randall. She is a PMP and is a multifaceted professional with a background in social media, marketing, and project management. With a degree in broadcasting journalism in 2009 and a project management certification in 2018, she has demonstrated her commitment to excellence and self-development. Asia has collaborated and worked on concerts, tours, major productions with names like Tyler Perry, Keith Sweat, Sir Charles Jones, and King George. This experience fueled her passion for networking and beyond and behind the scenes productions. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she discovered a new passion for sponsorship, successfully collaborating with brands like T-Mobile, US Bank, Wendy's, Como's, and now Asia is dedicated to helping others elevate and maintain collaborative partnerships. Welcome, Asia.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Thank you. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm going to screen. Hold on one second. Let me share my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Yes? Okay, great. So today I want to talk about sponsorship gold, how to craft a golden winning deck. So as you mentioned, I've been in the marketing space for well over 10 years, and sponsorships since COVID has really changed, because before we used to do, the gold, silver, bronze package, right? Everybody's familiar with that, right? Where we would do gold, silver, bronze. Not so much anymore now, because nowadays the companies know exactly what they have, right? Long in the days of gold, silver, bronze, because they're able to track the data now. Because of COVID, everybody had to move inward, right? So everybody was very much watching video and TV and stuff like that. So now the metrics are different. Now we're looking at algorithms, now we're looking at data in a different way. And so marketers and sponsors are able to track their stuff now. So you can't just give them a gold, silver, bronze package anymore, because they know exactly how far their marketing dollars will take them. So with this stuff now that I'm going to show you, this is going to be a better way so that you can interact with more sponsors and really get your foot in the door. Oh, okay. All right. So for today's agenda, I'm going to discuss some key terms. These are going to be the things that you're going to want to say now when you are walking and talking with your sponsors, when you are trying to get in the door. Then we're going to talk about the sponsorship life cycle, the different things that you are going to do from trying to get the sponsor into getting them to actually give you income and payments. And then we're going to talk about the sponsorship deck, what all needs to go in it, what doesn't need to go in it. And then at the end, if we have time, questions and answers, okay? So some of the key terms that we use are, of course, sponsor. So what is a sponsor? A sponsor is someone who helps with events and gives you money. A lot of times we would do more so in kinds, right? Like you could use my event center in exchange for you put my logo on your website and different things like that. And so those are called in kinds. Well, you kind of want marketing dollars now, right? You really want some money behind that. So in order to do that, you are going to have to kind of talk the logo and talk in the language that they speak, right? So sponsor is somebody who is going to actually give you money in exchange for something that you are going to offer them. So it used to be, a long time ago, we would say, hey, well, if you want to speak on my stage, you can give me $5,000. Well, I'm kind of nervous right now and just talking to you. So you can imagine a sponsor when they hear something like that, like speak on your stage, they kind of cringe. They're like, no, 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 I don't want that. So you really have to craft it in a way that it's feasible for them, and it's easier for them to want to say yes to you, because you're giving them something that they actually want, not something that you think that they should have. A property is actually what your event is. So instead of saying I have a blues concert, so instead of saying I have a blues concert, I would say my property is a blues concert. You may have a blog, you may have a podcast, you may have a festival. So this would be your property. Your property is that event. Okay. Now, if you are doing a festival and you are doing, let's say, 3 or 4 different days, and so you have different things and different events at that festival, then you would want to break that up into different properties. Now, I don't suggest you putting all of that into one sponsorship deck, because you don't want to confuse the people and you don't want to confuse your sponsor. You want to tailor it to them. That's why we don't do gold, silver, bronze packages anymore, because we really want to make sure it's focused to exactly customize what they want, instead of giving them what you think they should have, right? Ask them what they want so that you can tailor it to them, so that they're more apt to really want to spend that marketing dollars with you. Next, we talk about audience. Your audience is going to be anybody that you can touch, right? So that is social media. That is the people who are reading your blogs, the people who you have their phone numbers. Those are the people on your email list. These are the people who actually come. If your event is in person, if your event is like we're online right now, if you have their emails and you're able to see them and touch them and be able to get in contact with them and engage with them, that's going to be your audience. That is going to be your leverage for being able to get your sponsors to come to you, because that is ultimately what they want. They want access to your audience. And the easier you make that for them, the more money they're going to want to spend with you. And so activations are actually the things that are going to tie the sponsor to your audience, right? That's the in between. What is the activation? That's going to be something that's going to be fun, and it's going to be something engaging for them to want to interact with your sponsor. So ultimately, the goal is going to be that your audience comes to the activation, they enjoy the activation gives them more clarity and gives them more ideas and they want to be more interactive with your sponsor. And from there, your sponsor is able to utilize your audience as well. So the sponsorship life cycle. This is going to be a 5-stage process. Now, this is just the beginning. On the back end of this, after payment, there's some other things, but we won't discuss that today. So basically, the first thing is going to be property, which we've already covered. What is it that if you were just coming in, you would need to decide what kind of property you want to have. Then the second thing is going to be survey. So once you've figured out what you want and what you're going to have, then you're going to survey the people. So the audience that you have already collected, you're going to send out surveys to them. Now, make sure that when you do send out a survey, of course, right, you want to make sure you give them an incentive, right? Because people don't like surveys, and they definitely don't like really long surveys. So try to make it as short, concise, sweet as possible. Get the information that you're seeking, but also give them an incentive so that they'll want to finish your survey. So maybe a chance to win tickets to your event or something like that. Then we're going to jump into the prospecting. So now, after you've created the survey and you have that information, now let's go to prospecting. So based on what your audience said in the survey, what is it that they're looking for? What is it that they like? What is it that they are trying to purchase maybe in the next few months? You're going to take that data and you're going to internalize that, and you're going to think about that, and you say, hey, based on my audience, I'm still trying to get the sponsor to interact with my audience. So I need to find some things that I know my audience likes based on the answers in the survey. So I'm going to prospect and I'm going to go after certain sponsors based on that information. Okay. And then from there, we're going to go into the negotiation phase. So after we've gotten our prospect and we've emailed them back and forth, or we've called them, we've kind of touched base with them. Hey, let's sit down, let's discuss some things. Now they've told me some things that they're looking for or some things that they like. Okay, great. So now I'm able to negotiate, I'm able to craft this and customize this sponsorship package to them so that they can look it over, get some ideas, and figure out where we should go from there. And then once we've decided we enjoyed it, we like it, everything is good, then we sign on the dotted line and then we send the payment. Now, generally, this takes about 3 to 4 months because you're going through, now these are large corporations that I'm talking about. So these are your Home Depots, these are your Lowe's, these are, Bank of America. So they have a lot of different people that they go through, right? So they may have, I need to talk to my manager, I need to talk to this person. You may have to go through HR, you may have to go through sales, you may go through the marketing department, right? So it takes a little while to get to the people who you're really trying to have a conversation with. So this may take some time. So that's why it generally takes 3 or 4 months. So if you have an event, start trying to think about who you're going to prospect about 3 or 4 months out before your event. So this is going to be the first page of your sponsorship deck. So you're going to say what your event property is, what your name is, you're going to make it nice, and then you're going to probably put a picture of your property in the background. Or if you haven't started your property yet, maybe you can just do a stock photo. It's fine. So I'm going to show you kind of some pictures of what I've done in the past. So this is our deck from last year. So this is kind of what it looks like. So I put the property, I put our logo and partner guide, okay? Then we talk a little bit about our property, like what does our property do? So this would kind of be like your about us. This would be like a little bit like your mission statement kind of thing, but also you're still trying to get the sponsor to really engage with you. So you really want to make sure you're tailoring it to what you can bring to the table. So we talk about, we're in Arkansas. We've done this about 5 or 6 years. We're talking about how diverse our people are, how many people we bring from surrounding areas. So we're trying to tell them that, hey, if you partner with us, you're going to get people that are coming literally from outside of the state. So if you are coming to do a sponsorship with us, there's a really good chance that you are going to get people who don't even live in the area to do business with you, okay? Then we talk about the property. So we're going to go deeper into those metrics and that data that we're talking about. This is the stuff that the sponsors are really looking for. They're looking for your listeners, your downloads, how many people are coming to your event, how many sponsors have you had in the past. These are the things that they want to know, because they're trying to think, hey, is this worth the sponsorship dollars? Because I can do Facebook for this amount, for $5, I can reach 1,000 people on Facebook for, for 7 days, but I may not be able to engage with them. They may see my post and they do something else, but your people may be actually in person, and so they have a better chance of actually getting them to commit to them. So there's really going to start to look through these numbers. Okay, so on our numbers, we have how many community partners we've had. We talk about how much our growth was from year to year. We talk about our email subscribers, right? At the time, we had 800 email subscribers, but we had a really high open rate. So generally, like an email open rate, anything above 30 is really, really good. Anything below that, you're kind of, people tend to open them, may not open them, but if you get a good, really open rate, email is one of the fastest ways to get in contact with your people. So they're really going to look for these numbers, right? And then your website, they want to know how many people engage with your website. They're really going to start to see if this is something that they're really interested in, okay? And then you're going to make sure that you're always giving them a really good representation of your audience and who is interacting with you. So next, we'll put a transition slide. We'll just put some more pictures of our audience on there, and so that they can see who we deal with. So this is just some general photos, but these are our customers and our clients that come to our shows. And so generally, on average, we have between 5,000 to 6,500 people that come to our events. So we just take pictures, and so each time we take pictures, we just put them in the deck and we kind of tailor it to the deck. So let's talk. So now we're going to go a little bit even deeper into our audience and exactly who they are. So let's talk age. So we have anywhere from between 25 to 65 is our age range for our particular property. We also have very heavily female based, right? Then we talk about education and we talk about income. Now, these are going to be the questions that you're going to ask in your survey, okay? You're going to ask them these questions because you're going to really need to know the data and analytics of your people so that you can figure out what it is that they want moving forward, okay? So this is going to be some of the core questions that you will ask. Then we're going to ask about what are they trying to do in the next 18 months, right? Because as you get sponsors, your sponsors don't want to necessarily get them and only interact with them one time, right? At your event. No, they want to interact with them multiple times, right? So you're going to want to get a sponsor that is really engaged with them so that they can interact on multiple occasions, right? And also, if you get a really good sponsor, sponsors don't mind doing multiple year deals if you can get that. So that's your goal, right? To get them to engage with you for multiple times. So this survey we did. They said they like cruising. Okay, well, we now know that our people really enjoy vacation. They like to travel. They look like they're, hey, in the next 12 to 18 months, they're going to buy a new vehicle. They want new electronics, so maybe they're going to buy a new TV. They look like they're about to get a mortgage, so maybe they want a house. So maybe we need to start looking into mortgage companies as sponsors. We may need to start looking into car companies, maybe vacations, maybe like a travel agency or like a Carnival Caribbean or something like that. Our people now, you see, they like RVs, so maybe reaching out to like an RV company or something like that. Really trying to figure out who the audience really wants to engage with, and then go from there. So using what they've already given you, and then just kind of sift through it and see really what it is that you can find out, and how you can really bring those sponsors to them, so that way you can keep their interest, and then you can keep sponsors. So we'll do another transition slide, and then we'll dig even deeper into our audience. So now we meet our personas, right? So our personas are going to be our avatars, and our avatars basically are the people that we have at our event. But instead of giving just pictures, we're going to actually put a name to it. We're going to actually kind of give that person bring them to life, if you will. So we can figure out who they really are, so that the sponsor can really tap into that. Because I don't know if I've done some internships at the radio stations, and they would have a big persona on the wall, and they say, hey, this is Kimberly. She is 25 to 84. She loves this and this and this and this. And so that's how you craft the music for the radio, based on the person. So you really try to put the person in your visual, so that way you can give that to the sponsor, and the sponsor can take that and say, okay, based on that, you're right. That's our market. That's our audience. We like those. We like to get in front of your audience. So let's go into the persona. So we have Maya. Maya is 48. Maya is recently divorced, but she is a homeowner. She has no children. She makes $62,000, because you've already surveyed her. So you already know some of this stuff about her. Now, you know her hobbies, right? Because you asked her kind of what she likes to do. So she says she likes to eat healthy. She likes exercise. And so in the next 18 months, she's planning on going on a cruise. Because she eats healthy, you know now that you could probably do something maybe with gardening, because she's into healthy foods. So maybe you reach out to a sponsor who's into gardening. But you already know that because she's divorced and she's single, she probably likes to travel, right? So she likes luxury hotels. So maybe now you reach out to a hotel sponsor and get a hotel sponsor. So these are the things that you can do. And then also, because you have her data in front of you, you can also kind of put some preferred brands, right? So now I have Dasani down there. So now maybe I'm looking for water sponsors, because I already know how healthy she is and how she's trying to live. Maybe I get a water sponsor or something. Because I know she likes gardening, maybe I get a sponsor who's big into sneakers, to really start to think about all the things that you can do with the data that you have, because the data is so diverse, and it gives you a lot of thoughts about who your people are. Now, we talked about this before, gold, silver, bronze packages. So basically what we tell them now in our sponsorship packages is we're customizing this to them. So it's not a gold, silver, bronze. It's not a one size fits all. It's specifically tailored to them. So once you've gotten the information from the sponsor, from your audience, now you know who your sponsor is and who you're trying to target. You can make things based off of that. So you're going to give them a transition slide and kind of go into a little bit more about some of the activations. And remember, we talked about this before, the activations and the exciting things that you can do to really engage your audience and the sponsor so that they can continue to have a continue to do business together. Okay, so let's talk about our case studies. Oh, we already talked about our case studies. So let's talk about activations. So this one is Rolling with the Blues. So basically, we could do a car, right? We could get a Toyota, we could get a Honda, we could get a car dealership, maybe. Maybe the car dealership even gives us the opportunity to wrap the car. Maybe we wrap the car with either our logo or their logo or something that's really eye-catching, right? And then the audience can take pictures with the car, or even better, we can have a conversation where maybe they actually win the car, right? So they take the pictures with the car and they get a chance to win the car. So as they're getting a chance to win the car, they're going to put in their email address and their phone number, and then you're going to get that data and put that data into the system. And so that gives your sponsor that information, and then it also helps you out because you get that information as well. And then you also are able to use your audience, get your audience to really interact with your sponsor. And it's fun and it's engaging. They're going to put that on your social media, and you're going to have all your audience, pictures on the website and stuff, and they're going to tag you in it. So it gives you good exposure, right? So it works both ways. Let's have another idea. Let's do staycation. So how about maybe because our people, they like to travel, right? So let's say we give this idea that we are on a vacation. However, we're still at our event. We might be outside, it might be a festival. So we may do like an LED screen, right? But the LED screen is showing like the ocean or like the beach or something. And then maybe we put like lawn chairs out, and then they sit in the lawn chairs. So they really get that visual, they really get that experience, right? Because we're trying to get them to have those experiential, we call them experiential activations, right? You want to really give your audience that experience so that way they're more apt to continue doing business with your sponsor, right? So, and then maybe they win a vacation or something. So they'll put in their email address and their phone number, and they're entered to win that kind of vacation or something. Or we could do a drink, because I have a blues concert, maybe we do a special drink. And the special drink is tailored to whatever company. Because a lot of times, even though we are trying to get sponsors that are within our property and that are within our audience, maybe you have somebody that comes to you and they may not necessarily be in that particular arena, but you're trying to find ways that you can put the two together, right? So let's say if they were like, maybe it was a cop association or something like that. Well, then maybe we do a special thing where maybe not cops, maybe not cops and drinking. That doesn't sound too good. So maybe something else. Maybe like, like if it was a like a cop association or something like that, maybe you do like a discount on their ride fare, right? Or something like driving, like, hey, $10 off, if you get a Uber, we'll help pay for that or something like that. Really just find different ways to interact the two so that way everybody kind of wins. And then talk about some of the ways that you all can work together. Like maybe if they do food, they can do product sampling. They can do VIP opportunities. So let's talk about this. So because we're doing things custom, we can give them different ideas. Like maybe because your sponsor probably has other sponsors. So let's talk about VIP opportunities. Maybe they have their sponsors, and because they're high-end clients can do VIP with you, and that gives them that luxury experience, right? You can still do activations. You can still do, the names on the stage, and you can still do the logos on the websites, but really try to think about things outside of that. Like I think I put on here, taking pictures in and around the RV camper, right? So if I'm trying to reach out to an RV company, having them have an RV outside and having people take pictures around the RV, let them walk inside, let them look and let them touch, let them have that feel. So that way they'll have that imprint in their mind. Oh my God, that was such a nice experience. That RV looks so beautiful. I could see myself in that. And so that way they're more apt to do business with you because you've given them something that they can take with them. Okay. So generally, instead of doing the gold, silver, bronze package, you can do something of a base package. So the base package would really be what is the least amount or what is something that you can offer everybody for this minimum price, right? So it would be like, okay, hey, for this amount, we can offer you eBlast. We can do social media promotions. We can do links on our website. We can still do stage mentions. And then, of course, we can do free tickets. Now, you customize this based on your event and what you have, but you can do, this could be your base package. Like, hey, for this amount, instead of the gold, silver, bronze, but you could say, hey, for that 4,000, 5,000, we could do these things, but you still want to customize it for your sponsor on the front end so that they can really start to visualize those things. And that's where the dollars come in at. This is kind of like the last, at the very last, if you aren't able to necessarily get what it is that you're wanting out of them, then you can offer them as the last resort. And then, of course, let's talk about your media. Like, talk about the media partner that you've had in the past, the people that you've done business with before, so that they can kind of see who you've dealt with before, so that they can kind of get an idea of, okay, they do business with these people and these companies, so this is a good fit, this is a good match because we've also dealt with them. Okay. So these are our partners. So we've done business with Wendy's and T-Mobile and some hotels and radio, of course, like that. And so this is the stuff that we put out, and we talk about our radio impressions and our organic impressions and partnerships and different things like that. And then after that, you just say, hey, let's start a conversation. Let's talk. And then you're going to give them your information, right? So based on everything that you put in the sponsorship deck, let's have a conversation, right? So you put your name, email, and all that good stuff. So at this time, I think I will take some questions. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Um, okay, so my understanding of sponsorships, I've only seen them or heard of them. Well, I actually had some sponsorships when I did a summit many years ago. I had people to sponsor them, and they would be able to get their business highlighted, and just different things. So I did that before with myself, but the only other time I've seen that is like on YouTube, where, or TikToks and stuff, and they're showing an item and they've been sponsored by this company to show, advertise their item or talk about their item. So when you're talking about sponsorships,
Okay.
how, um if you have a smaller audience,
Okay.
like, first of all, what would be the amount of people within your audience, within your reach, that you would then start to think about getting a sponsor?
So we've done as little as 300, and you can really, as long as you have the audience and as long as you start to survey the people, you really just go with whatever you have, you can go with. There's no such thing as it's too small or too large. You know what I mean? I don't want you to, yes, I'm giving you the broader picture because this is the audience that I have. So we have a larger audience, but don't feel like because I have a larger audience that you can't get sponsors, right? Because there are people out there that are needing what you have, right? And there are sponsors that are trying to get the people that you have. And you may have a market that they never even thought about, right? That could be a
Mm.
different, right? You know what I mean? Like they could be thinking they're looking at, millennial men or something. It was like, well, they didn't even think about the fact that, or let's say, yeah, let's say millennial women, and they're not looking at the fact that, like you said, like they do meditation. Like they're not even realizing that, oh, wait, that's a good area to go to. Maybe you're doing massages, or maybe you're doing massage envy, right? Because you're already in that space of, meditation. Maybe you're doing more self-care. So maybe you're looking into, people who have lotions, um, hemp products, right? Because people don't necessarily think about that stuff, but that's, maybe you're going more organic. So yeah, you just start to think outside the box. It doesn't mean that you can't get sponsors. It just means you may have to do a little bit more digging. Or you may need to start a little bit smaller, right? So instead of Fortune 500 companies that, like I said, the Bank of America and stuff like that, maybe you go to somewhere smaller. Maybe you go to more local people. Who do you have that is local around you that does some of that health care, that self-care stuff? That, maybe they have you have a place that does lotions and different things like that, and they're right down the street. So maybe you start small like that, but you offer them, maybe you offer them that base package, because they may not be aware of what their audience can, or what your audience can do for them, right? So that may be a little too much for them to grasp, because they may not be in that metric space of, the numbers like that. But start small, and then you just can grow from there.
Mhm. One more question. For the packages, are because I noticed that you had other things besides money. So when I was thinking about sponsorship, I was thinking about what money, but I know that you could do other things. But what would be, especially if you're first starting out, this for people just starting, this is the first sponsorship that they're trying to get. What would be ideal for something that you would be asking the person to sponsor you for?
So
And I know it depends upon your audience, but like, um, okay, let's talk about women who meditate. Since we are a meditating school, women who meditate, like what would be, that's the audience, what would be the ideal, like, first starter kit package that you would go to a sponsor and ask them?
okay. So let's talk about what you're doing at your event outside of meditating. What else would you do? Where would you have the event at?
Okay, so this event would be most likely, okay, let's just say a retreat center. So I'm doing the event at a retreat center. There's going to be like a lot of experiential moments of mind body practices. And because this is my background, shamanic practices. So that would be incorporated. It maybe some breath work and yoga, because I brought in a partner for collaboration, things like that.
Okay. So if you're talking about breathwork, yoga, meditation, maybe you start speaking to chiropractors, right? So somebody in that space where you're still in that health arena, right? And you're maybe doing more holistic things, right? So maybe you tell them, because they still want access to your data. Chiropractors are always looking for more and more clients, right? So maybe you say, hey, for this amount, we can do emails, right? Because emails are really big on getting in getting people into your system, right? Into your data. So emails, phone numbers. How about you tell them, like, hey, maybe they do on site, do a couple of adjustments on site, kind of help bring awareness to them. And then from there um you can do pop-ups at their place, right? Or so you could do, for this amount off, they can go there, 15% off, 20% off. You know what I mean? Like you could really start to think of different things that would help the sponsor. And so basically what it is you are giving your sponsor access to your audience, and in return they will give you money. So that's generally how it works, right? But it's, you give to receive, essentially, right? So it kind of works like that. I can't hear you.
I know I said that that was the last question, but I have one more question.
Go
So
ahead.
if it's a monetary exchange for access, what would be like, and I know that this depends upon the audience, it depends upon a lot of stuff, but based upon your experience, what would the monetary range that a person would go after as a beginner, as a person that may not have the biggest audience, what would that monetary range be? And for also for people that may have a larger audience, um, like the range, what would it be for a person, a smaller audience and a larger audience?
Okay. So for your audience, how much are you charging for your event? Is it a free event or are you charging for it?
Oh, this is not a event. It's it is a paid event for, yeah, for retreat.
Okay. So if you're doing a paid event, then you would try to classify how much it is that you think that your audience would pay for that, right? So essentially, I'll say it this way. I had a call one time and it changed my entire world. I had a call and I was talking, this was when I very first started about sponsorship. And I said, "Hey, we're looking to do some sponsorship." And he said, "Okay, well, how big is your audience?" And I said, "Oh, our audience is about 3,000." He said, "Oh, okay." And he said, "Well, how much are you looking to do in sponsorship?" And I said, about 10,000." He goes, "Oh, so about, you know, $3 a person?" I said, "Wait, what?" He was like, "Oh," I said, "Okay, so maybe like 50." He said, "Oh, so $5 a person." I said, "Oh, wait, I'm doing something wrong." So in that census, it's like, okay, really think about how much your audience is worth to you, and then
Mhm.
generate the dollars based on that. Does that make sense?
Okay. So I basically each person is a dollar amount that I would add on to for the sponsor to ask for the sponsorship.
Right. So so if you're getting multiple sponsors, then of course you don't necessarily like if they're paying $50 per person, you may not want to go to that one sponsor and ask for that for that amount for all of them. But maybe you just start smaller and just grow up from there. But you still have the base package, right? So you can still do your base. I still have some base packages if I'm just starting out or I have sponsors that are very new. I will still do like 1,000, 2,000 to get them in, to get them comfortable, and then we can build up from there. So there's not necessarily a number that you have to go with, but whatever you're comfortable with, right? Now you may not want to go too low, because when you go too low, you may not be able to bring them back up, right? And also right, you want to have that interaction. You want to be able to kind of walk them up over time. So, just be mindful of that.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you so much. This is very helpful.
I think I have
And
a
there's a question in the chat. What kind of contract do you write for a sponsorship?
Oh, good question. So it would depend on just whatever contract that y'all have, whatever y'all decide. So there are a couple different templates that you can choose from, but it's really just going to come down to the the agreement that you have with your sponsor, because they're so customized.
Right. Susan, did that answer your question, or do you have any follow-up questions? Oh, she said yes. That's great. Thank you. I have some comments. Number one, you have just busted open my world. Um,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I
it's
told you,
it's a
because of COVID,
a
it changed a
beautiful
lot.
thing.
So
Yes, it is this is, I feel, for me, is definitely a game changer. I'm not by any means familiar with the world of sponsorships, or even fundraising, but I got a taste of it when I did federal work study for Saybrook, and I was with the University Relations Department, where we would host major events and we would be looking for sponsors, and to go beyond the gold, silver, the bronze, all of that, is very mind-blowing. And I say mind-blowing as I see it as very expansive and more creative than just having those cookie cutter kind of um sponsorship offerings to people. And so like even when you were mentioning the because I was taking notes. Even when you were mentioning the activation opportunities, like the rolling with the blues and then the having, partnering, having a car sponsor and things like that, it ended up like number one, that was freaking amazing. Like, oh my God, like yes. They can have the little show car, people could take pictures, you could do a hashtag, so many different opportunities with that and making, just honoring that benefit for the sponsor. And then also getting recognition, promoting yourself at the same time because they're at your event. And
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I'm at this event. I'm taking a picture with this car. Woohoo. You know, I just see like the beautiful possibilities that exist with doing that approach differently. Um, and so for me, having been new to even what that looks like in a higher education setting, I can see how this in itself is a game changer. And I'm as Denise say, we're a meditating school. We do a lot of we're all practitioners in something. Whether it's people who are in our mind body medicine program or people in our clinical psychology program, counseling, integrative social work. So we all do something that's along the lines of complementary and alternative medicine. And so, like for myself, I know that number one, my goal since even beginning my business was to have an integrative wellness center where it can house all these different modalities, but also doing community events so that we can educate the population on different modalities that are beyond the traditional Western medicine.
Yes.
And so even as you're talking now, I was sitting there thinking, because I'm not like I had postponed my business while I worked on dissertation, but I'm getting everything back in shape to restart everything. And I'm thinking about these events, and I was sitting there like, oh, who can I partner with that? And then even when you mentioned the chiropractor, like I remember I remember going to the first chiropractor I ever went to was part of this organization called 100% Chiropractic, and they have centers everywhere that open up, multiple ones and things like that. And it's like, ah, the opportunities are there. You know, they are so
You'll
there.
see
The
them.
sponsors are there.
You'll start like driving, you'll be like, oh, oh yeah. And you'll start to write them down and it'll just come to you. They'll just come to you. And you'll never
Yes.
see things again.
No, because even now, like I was thinking about the last event that I went to, which was the Black Women's Business Expo here in Atlanta. And they hosted in different cities, but it even had me thinking back to that because of course they had like over I think 400 vendors that came, but they also had like tons of sponsorships and it was celebrity speakers and things like that. And so it even had me thinking back to what my experience was like when I went into it and like what did I notice about the sponsors and the sponsorships because they had tons of them to be able to put this on to where they could have multiple, multi-city business expos for entrepreneurs. And so now you didn't bust my world open because I'm just thinking about how like to to approach this and even just getting and I love a good slide. I love some good slides. That will show that. And of course now I'm like, okay, I gotta get my life together because I need to be able to have, have things to show. Like have these statistics to be able to show them like website traffic, email lists and things like that. Um just to further like solidify the partnerships when it comes to sponsorships and things like that. So I'm like, man, like this was eye-opening and inspirational. Thank you.
Oh, good. Now let me ask you a question. You
Mhm.
said you went to the event and they had a lot of vendors and sponsors. Who do you remember and why?
Oh gosh. I remember LegalZoom
Okay.
because the representative was number one, she was hilarious and her energy was through the roof.
Okay.
Um, and but she also talked about um the different programs that I didn't know that they offered, like a kind of like a mentoring kind of thing where you can hop on these live calls and join this group, and they would be able to talk about different their offerings and stuff like that. Um, Another one was a dermatologist. And I was completely shocked because it was the dermatologist herself that was there,
Mm,
and they offered a free skin assessment and a free scalp assessment.
okay.
And then they gave away bags, which was cool. Just to connect with the community. And I was surprised because I was like, yo, that's dope that the owner and the main doctor is here,
Right.
supporting her business and connecting with the community.
Good.
Um, and then it was another lady who and I'm blanking on her business, but I know that she had created these inspirational journals for young women that had affirmations in them, and journal prompts and things like that. So it was like a few of them that was there, and then even it was one company that I had never heard of, and I'm mad because I'm blanking on the name because I went to their talk and the lady was talking, she was one of their representatives, and she was talking about the benefits of your health and wellness when it comes to being a Black woman. So she had these like little sprays that you can use. So instead of taking vitamins, you can just do the spray under your tongue and keep it moving. And like even my mom was there with me and she was all hyped because they were giving away samples of the little things.
That's
So
so
they had stuff in reference to like age, sleep, anxiety, and they were really engaging with the audience. And so yeah, so those are the a few of them that come to mind for the vendors. And some of those vendors were sponsors too.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. So now I'm gonna be looking at everything differently now.
Yeah, that's good. And that way, and I asked you that question because I wanted to know what stuck out to you, right? Because you
Mm.
mentioned 400. And so I like to say, do you remember the movie Finding Nemo, right?
Hmm.
Remember Dory?
Yep, just keep
We are
swimming.
we are Dories now because we have so much stuff at our fingertips, right?
Yes.
Stuff is always coming at us. And so, in order for you to be able to reach certain people, you have to really stand out. And so, I was
Hmm.
curious out of 400, who stood out to you and why? And what
Yeah.
did you remember? So, yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. Like I said, it was so many vendors out there. But you're right, those ones that stick out, it's worth noting why they stuck out to me. Because even for myself, when I get ready to start back going to community events, because I used to do community events just to get connected. And so I would sell, at the time I sold crystal jewelry, as well as loose stones and pouches. But I had this scanner that would scan your body's energy output,
No, okay.
and it would provide a printout to show the areas where in the different measurements and levels, so you can see where you were deficient in and need to do something for. And so even thinking about that, like, and I know even with that one, it was different from what everybody else at the health fair was doing, because once I would get the printout and see those areas that needed balancing, I would be able to give them some stones, some crystal recommendations, or some crystal jewelry recommendations to help them with that particular level. And so now you got me thinking like, okay, so as I'm moving forward, because I know when it comes to, I really want this wellness center because I want to have a place where people can get chiropractic work, they can meet a functional medicine doctor, they can get massage, they can get some energy work, all these different modalities. And now I'm like, who am I gonna get to support the payment for this to make it happen?
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. So I really appreciate the talk because you've opened up a whole new can of worms, but you also shifted my perception on what sponsorships can look like and what that sponsoring partnership can look like with people.
And
So I'm
so
excited.
ultimately, like once you've given them, once they see that, okay, you're not necessarily all about the money, right? They're more comfortable now. It's like, okay, you really are really trying to do business with you, really trying to see what I'm after and what I'm looking for. And so now you have that conversation now. Instead of them thinking, oh, they just want same old, and then you go into the pile of forgettables and never to be seen again, right? So now you have a different outlook and you can give them something different so that they're more apt to do business with you now because they've seen, okay, they actually know how this stuff works. And yeah, possibilities are endless.
Yes, and I'm excited.
And so just to clarify, just have one more question. So it doesn't matter, and please answer it. It doesn't matter whether you're a nonprofit or for profit, you could still go after a sponsorship, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of our festivals do, well, not my festival per se, but a lot of festivals are zero, right? They're free. So people just come. And so they're always looking for sponsors, right? Because they have a free event. So the irony is, when you have free events, you actually have more sponsors, I guess, because people are out, you're getting people from everywhere. So you have a really good grasp of people that you can go to and get sponsorship for. So ours is for profit. We have sponsorships. There are nonprofits. There is no shortage of money out there. Okay. And there is no shortage of sponsors. So, but just think about that. Just as long as you are thinking about what you think they would like and reaching them in that regard, they'll more times out of 10 they're going to do business with you. And then make sure you're always following up, follow through. That is like one of the number one things, because like I said, we're all like Doors. We're always doing stuff and moving pieces and parts, and they're always probably getting sponsored stuff from all over. So make sure that you're consistent. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow. Continue to be consistent. There are some that I've been after for a couple years before I got with them. You know what I mean? Like, some take time, but make sure you're just putting stuff out there. Always putting stuff out there. Always, be thinking about what's next. I use a lot of LinkedIn. I use a lot of they have AI apps now. So I want to say it's Apollo.io. I think is the is a Chrome extension. And so you can put that to your LinkedIn, and just in case you don't see their email address or their phone number, you can use that Chrome extension, and then it usually will give you an email or phone number with Apollo.io. So you can do that as well.
Mhm.
I will pull out a newspaper. Think I won't. I will pull out a newspaper and look through the classifieds, because I like to think, don't judge me. I like it. Newspaper to me is like old money. So
Mm.
you know what I mean? Because people who use newspaper have been using it for a very long time. And obviously if they're still using it, it must still work, right? So just, finding little ways like that. And because they're doing newspaper, generally they probably just have a phone number, so they're probably like your mom and pop. They're probably real local, but because they spent money on newspaper, they're already spending money. So think about that too, right? Think about people on Facebook that have sponsored ads. Think about Google. If they're top and it says sponsor, they're already spending money. So that they're already used to doing these things, right? So they're more apt when you go to them, they're more apt to spend dollars with you because you understand the game, you understand the lingo, the terminology, and they're already spending money. So
Mhm.
That's a jolly good point. Never thought about that as well. And usually, and honestly, usually I fuss about the sponsored ads when I'm scrolling, but now I'm gonna be curious about who's
Yeah.
because they're clearly being shown to me because I'm part of the algorithm. I'm part of the demographic of what they're looking for. Now I'm gonna be like, who are you? Let
mhm,
me look into you
yeah,
real quick.
yeah. Use it to your advantage. Go ahead.
With the, because you said something about 3 or 4 month span before you actually, go to or get to the sponsor, or if you're having an event 3 or 4 months before. So let's just say it's a live event, and it may be free. For collecting the data on your people, if you don't, like, this is your first event that you're holding, and for this particular demographic, if you don't have a survey yet, is it advantageous to collect a survey while people are signing up, like, hey, take this survey and get entered to win whatever. I don't know. But if you do that way, so that you could have the data to bring back to the sponsor, or how would you recommend doing that if this is somebody's first experience?
So that's a great point. That's a great point and great question. I would do that. So do you already have a Facebook page?
Yes.
If you already have a Facebook page, start with the Facebook page. Now, the only thing that I would say is when you are doing surveys, you're going to want to survey the people who are actually coming to your event. So a lot of times people will do surveys, but they'll like want to pay for market research survey, but that doesn't help you any, right? Because those are your people. So don't necessarily do that, but survey the people that you have, and then be mindful. I like to do a survey, but I would say, enter to win, but I would take them off of Facebook. Don't put the link for your survey on Facebook because you get a lot of spam that way. So take it off of Facebook and then to another platform and then do it that way. And that way you get a lot more data that's catered to your people instead of, spam.
Got
But you
it.
can I've started with as small as like 100 people on my survey, And then, so the funny thing is, even with surveys, even with a lot of people, the more a good survey, maybe even, 100 to 300 people, you can get a lot of information just by that. And then the bigger the audience, it just gets more defined, but the people generally stay the same. The information of the people still stay the same. They're still women. They still like this. They still like that. You know what I mean? Like they may be a little bit more fine tuned, but the general consensus is still the same. So it doesn't mean that you need a lot of data. It's just a sample size of what your audience is going to look like. So go back and look at your audience on Facebook. What do they look like, right? What is their age range? You can kind of see that stuff, right? People post all of the stuff online. You can see how often they travel, right? They take their pictures. Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? A lot of that stuff is already out there. You just kind of, now you have an eye to look for it. So even if you didn't have the survey, you could just, look and do it in that regard.
And finally, getting in contact with these people. I know you mentioned it before, how you might have to go through sales or HR and everything else. Now, I've pitched for, different publications, and you really have to know kind of like who to pitch to and all of the things. But with this, it seems like you don't really know who's the person that can make the decision as to giving you the sponsorship. So is it just kind of like hoping that one of these people that you interact with, like in customer service or HR, will give you the information, or how do you normally are able to get in contact with the decision maker?
So on LinkedIn, I will email them or message them on LinkedIn. Hey, this is, my name is so and so, and based on, I've recently surveyed my audience, and I think we might be a good fit. So, would you like to have a conversation? And let's talk about, what you're looking for. And then so when you have a conversation with them, you really ask them what it is that they're looking for. Like, hey, like I want you to think, even though you're going to them, your audience is still the prize, right? Your audience is still the package, because your audience is the people that they want to do business with. So you still have the gold, right? So but you tailor it in a different way. It's like, hey, well, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what your needs are. What is it that you're looking for? You know what I mean? You really give them that. It's almost like you're giving them that like white glove service, You're giving them like what they want on a silver platter, and then they just pay the fee, Kind of like that. But you'll just go to if you're small, if you're starting smaller, then just go to local places. Now, once you get to like, the bigger companies, then you do the LinkedIn and then you may have to go through all the channels, right? So we generally will start with like the marketing department, then we go to sales and different things like that. But generally, if you're just starting out, just start with the local places, and then you may call them and say, hey, are who do I speak with about this? And then ask them if they have a marketing department and stuff like that. Sometimes I like to go through social media only because, you know, at least I know you'll probably write back. Right? Because if I message you, you might not write back. But social media, generally, because it's so interactive, somebody would probably reach out and say, well, hey, contact so and so. And at least you have a way in that way. And I still use the phone. I still may call somebody and say, I'm looking to reach so and so in this department, things like that.
Hmm. And what would you say are some of the most challenging aspects of obtaining sponsorship, and how can people overcome them?
So I would say probably the most frustrating part is going to be the either no response or the no's, right? And so it's one of those things, it has to happen, right? It has to happen. However, that probably is the most challenging part, but you'll get used to some of that, right? So over time you'll get used to the no, because every no is just one step closer to a yes, right? And then over time, because you've gotten so many sponsors or and you've met so many different people, I'm always going to networking events. That is also something that you should, make sure you're doing, getting, because networking events means I'm right in front of somebody, right? They can see me, I can see them, and they're gonna like, you gonna remember me, right? So that interaction, if you're bubbly, if you're friendly, people are gonna remember you. And so use that to your advantage, and talk with people. Hey, how is business, kind of what is it they do, what they like and stuff, and use that. And so maybe you may find that you have sponsors right in your back door based on somebody that you already know, or a friend of a friend. You know what I mean? Like, start thinking about that, because it's really like everybody's connected in some way, shape, or form. So it's just that simple, right? Like, hey, well, who do you know? Well, so and so, is the husband of so and so. He works right there. He works for this company. He works, she works for that company, and just start there.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Start local, go global.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it.
And I see we have Nicole here. Nicole, do you have any questions or anything? I don't want to leave you out. Or maybe. No pressure. But if you do have any questions, Nicole, feel free to either unmute and hop in, or if you feel more comfortable putting it in the chat, that's fine too. I don't want to pressure people. And so, but I do have a question. So like, could you share more just about your personal experience with navigating this world? Like what inspired you to even go this direction in life?
So I've been in marketing, like I said, over 10 years. And so what it is was, I got kind of, oh, I guess, okay, she dropped off. So I guess what it was like, after COVID, we had a tough time after, with COVID, our sales, right? Because we're doing very large events, right? So you go from, having 5,000 people at your event to, oh no, we can't have an event. It's like, people have already been paid. So now you start thinking about other ways to do this stuff. Like, okay, well, let's think about what we're doing. And so it came to a point where we were always thinking about, well, how many people are coming, and only thinking about getting money from the people who are coming. And I was like, wait a minute. No, let's really rethink this. I said, because there are a lot of ways to make this work. And it doesn't mean it always have to come from the customer. And the customer is great, but they feeling the pinch just like we feel the pinch, right? Inflation is happening all over the place. So let's find a way to kind of soften this so that we can all be happy. We can all get something out of this. And so really that's kind of how that started. And so it just kind of took off from there. I was like, "Ooh, this is fun." And then, once you start with the different activations and stuff, so I call them pop-ups, but we've had like life-size people. Like now we have artists, so you have to get the consent with the artist. So let's say like when I was doing, Tyler, we would have a blow up of like Medea. And so you're like, yo, Medea's at so and so. You be like, oh my God, Medea. You drive over there, that's a pop up. But it's funny, right? And so now you want to take a picture with her. So, take a picture. And so now it's funny and it gets people excited and they start taking pictures and now they posting pictures. And so it just takes on a whole new form. But really doing things that is outside the box, because the days of like going by somebody's booth and giving them a pamphlet, that's just kind of, people forget. People will forget and they say, "Oh, thank you," and they look at it like they're like, "Oh, I don't know, how can I?" Right? So you want people to stay with you. You want people to remember you. So just think about different ways to really interact.
Mm, beautiful. So, and then my final one, what would you say, or what are maybe three or four things, however many that come to mind for you really, that you would recommend people start doing today to
In
work
terms,
towards their sponsorships?
so I would say start your list, right? So start looking for definitely survey your people, but if you haven't surveyed your people, start thinking about things that in general, based on your property, what they're looking to do, what they like, because people are multifaceted. They like a lot of different things. So just because you're in one area doesn't mean that your people are just that one thing, right? Even though you're meditation and stuff, you can still do music, right? Some different kinds of music. They probably like the same kinds of music, even outside of, just meditation music. They might like jazz, they might like something else. Just start thinking about that stuff. And then, like I said, networking. Always be thinking about who else can you get in front of. Make sure you're posting different things on social media, just and I'm always this is one thing I do. I always, because I know people hate surveys, so I will do an initial survey. After every event we have, I do an initial survey. But then after the survey, I'm posting questions on social media. But I'll post them like, hey, who got the best barbecue? And then they'll tell me who has got the perfect. Right? That's information. That's what I need. But I didn't want to ask you on the survey because it would have got too long. But hey, who has the best fish? And then they tell you who is your favorite food truck? And so these are the ways that I'm able to find more information out about them, but make it engaging. And so that helps me help them. I think I only gave you, how many I gave you, two or
You great.
three? You said
No,
what?
those were great. Those were completely great. And once again, I feel like it opens the perspective, open the minds out to getting people to think outside the box. Um, and just tap into that creativity, but also having fun in the
Um,
process. Like this doesn't have to be a chore or just a job task or work task. It can be fun to initiate these activations and, like you said, gather that data. I Here, of course, we're in higher education program and we have PhDs, so data is a big thing. It's a big important thing. But to even see how you can translate it into how an individual can explore sponsorships and even potential partners and things like that just adds like another level and dynamic to it, which I think is really needed. Especially because even here, yes, we have our core programs, but we have a lot of certificate programs where people are learning, contemplative end of life care certificates, clinical and applied hypnosis, biofeedback, um, these other modalities so that they can, serve their community in these unique ways. And I feel like even with this is just showing us another way of what that can look like for us when it comes to doing what we're doing. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much for having me.
This is amazing information, and we're so glad that you were able to participate and really help the community, BIACA, and also the Sabric students and beyond to get a better perspective of sponsorship. So thank you so much, Cassandra. Thank you so much for being the president and always rocking it with some amazing ideas and some great, events. So thank you so much for participating, everyone that is watching the replay, and we hope to see you next session.
And also, please let everyone know the best way to contact you.
Oh, you can email me at arandallglobal@gmail.com.
You also want to leave anything that you might have, like anything that you're going on right now, events, offerings.
Okay. And I have you can join my LinkedIn, and then you can message me. I am gonna do an 8-week sponsorship course, and that's in the works. So you can message me on LinkedIn, or you can email me about more information about that.
Oh, that's going to be good. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, please email her about that because that's going to be good. All right. Thank you so much.